Hello all and welcome to episode 24 of the Sky Fantasy Podcast by Fantasy Football Hub. My name's Andrew and I'm joined as usual by former Sky winner, a very ill and flu-ridden Dan Cox. Dan, how have you enjoyed the international break?
I hate it. Absolutely hate the international break. It's just no interest in it. No interest in it. I just want Premier League all the time.
Great to have you on, Dan, with all your enthusiasm and illness. Great stuff there. This week, as Paul is away on a short break, we are delighted to also be joined by long-term Hub contributor, great Sky manager and planning maestro, Ian Parrin, the creator of the Hub's brilliant Sky planning tool. Ian, it is great to finally have you on. How has your season been going? Oh, I don't know if we've lost Ian there a second. We'll see if we can.
I was going to say, it can't be going that bad.
Either that, or he looks a bit shocked. We'll wait to see if he can come back on now. Evening, everyone. Evening, Mark Daniels, FPL Badger, Stephen Colthart, Nigel Bennett, Mark Brown, Yes Toast 84, Ramas Gramas, Martin Beasley, Phil Speck, Thomas Hartnell, and Liam Dorrian. Evening, gents. Ian, are you there?
I am. How are you doing, Andrew?
Hello, buddy. I'm well. You seem to have swapped cameras between yourself and Dan, but it's all good. We lost you for a second there, but you're back. We're all good. It's great to have you on, Ian.
Thank you very much for having me.
How is your season going, Ian?
For somebody that hasn't managed to hit a captaincy barn door with a shovel, not too badly. I've got one team at 2.5k and the other one about 7.5.
Fantastic. That's a really good start. Seems you haven't managed to hit any captains there. So well done there, Ian. Great stuff. It is worth noting that Paul McNulty did try and join the stream from his holiday this evening, from his tropical climes, albeit he was an hour early as he messed up the time difference. So we were having very concerned messages off Paul. I think we missed the stream. So if you are here, Paul, welcome and thanks for coming at the right time. Evening, Reese Bloomer, Elzo, Bear, Lodders, Off Spinners in a Hurry, Owen Kinnear, Adam Byron, and Aylward. Evening, all. It's great to have you on a live stream tonight. As we are live, please feel free to join in the chat at any time. Let us know your thoughts on the topics or the relevant sections, and feel free to ask some questions for us to answer at the end. For any new watchers and listeners, if you haven't subscribed to us, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen and set the alert so you don't miss our live streams at 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. Also, please press the like button if you enjoy our content. Can everyone now please press like? We never get as many likes as watches. Please press like, and don't forget to download our new free app, which includes everything our website offers. Just search for Fantasy Football Hub from wherever you get your apps. So after finally getting over the crazy game week 4 action, it was hilarious. So for those who were on live last week, you missed as we were preparing for the stream. Aston Villa were popping in goals left, right, and centre. We seem to have lost Ian again. I'm sure he'll be back any second. We've had time to think and start properly planning our overhaul teams, particularly as game weeks 6, 7, and 8 fixtures have now been confirmed, giving us lots of options to choose from. So tonight, when Ian returns, we are going to maximise his plan expertise by getting to talking through all the salient points we should be thinking about when constructing our overhaul teams and planning early transfers. Dan will give us the average transfers remaining stats before we go into our listeners' hot topics. We will then have a masterclass from Ian on how to avoid being 0.1 million short, pick our overhaul podcast 11, and finish off with Dan's rant, which may include $14.99 per game. We'll see about that. So we have a very...
They've got to pay $14.99 to listen to the rant.
Yeah, that's right. We're put on a Patreon to listen to Dan's rants, to moan about having to pay to watch the games on top of subscriptions. Absolutely bonkers. Hopefully Ian is going to join us very quickly because this was Ian's section. So I'll try and kick off without it. But here he comes.
I hope he's on because this is 90% of the show is Ian's spreadsheet.
This is Ian's show, exactly. So he's back on, Ian. Perfect timing, Ian. Are you all right there? Are you good?
Oh, dear me.
I'm a bit of a nightmare with the internet.
You will be getting a message off me, I can tell you.
It's fine, mate, honestly. Anyway, Ian, could you run us through what we know in terms of the fixtures that we know about?
Sure.
And I believe you also have some fixture projections in terms of future game weeks.
Yeah. Okay, so for Saturday coming, first match is the Merseyside Derby on the Saturday. And then we've got 3 other games on the Saturday: Chelsea Southampton, Man City Arsenal, and Newcastle Man United. Then on Sunday, early game, Sheffield United v Fulham, Palace v Brighton, Spurs v West Ham, Leicester v Villa. And then on the Monday, early game is West Brom v Burnley, and the evening game, Leeds v Wolves. So for that first set, probably nothing too daunting in terms of fixtures and captains, guys.
Yeah, I don't think so. There'll be lots of Everton, Liverpool, Man City home to Arsenal. I think Man City tend to beat Arsenal kind of 3-0 nearly every game, don't they? So and obviously United.
Yeah, Arsenal have improved, but I think City will still fancy the chances there, won't they? And then on the Sunday, I'm fairly sure most of us will be having a Tottenham player home to West Ham's captain.
Probably, yeah. I think Kane's going to be popular.
Son or Kane, yeah.
Son or Kane, yeah. The Kane injury was a bit of a non-entity, wasn't it? He was on a sub today. And then on the Monday, West Brom v Burnley or Leeds v Wolves. Probably Leeds v Wolves is the one where most people have somebody from. It's more a question if you go for an attacking player, if you're going to have one, or are we going to go with one of the Leeds bonus point players? We'll probably come on to that later on.
Well, on to game week 7.
So the next game week's first of the Friday fixtures. You were mentioning on the pod last week why there wasn't too many Friday fixtures, Andrew.
Indeed, and here we have.
It's because the package shares with a Monday. So there's 32 fixtures they can have either Monday or Friday.
Wow.
And what Sky tend to do, if they've got Monday ones, they'll use those. And Friday ones come later in the year to help out with the European teams in the knockout stages.
So everyone, this is why Ian is on, because Ian knows his stuff.
Okay, so for Friday matches, Villa v Leeds. So single day captaincy. But the way that Villa have been playing, I'm fairly sure a lot of people have Villa players in anyway.
Yes, so.
And then Saturday, we've got West Ham v Man City, Fulham v Palace, Man United v Chelsea, and Liverpool v Sheffield United. So again, fair sprinkling of popular players to captain. Sunday, Southampton Everton, Wolves Newcastle, Arsenal Leicester. Again, there's going to be Everton and Wolves players about. Arsenal's one it's tempting because they're always going to be on a Sunday or a Monday due to being in Europe. But the only one you really trust is Aubameyang. And are you going to be able to fit him in with everybody else?
Probably not. He's very expensive. Is he 11.4? 0.4. He's one of the most expensive players in the game, isn't he? So probably not.
He is, and he's not pulling up any trees at the minute, is he?
No, he's certainly not.
And then on the Monday, Brighton v West Brom and Burnley v Tottenham. So again, I think we'll probably be going for Tottenham there. Poor old West Brom fans there. This new TV deal, they've managed to get the early kick-off on a Monday 3 on the trot. Wow, blimey. And it's going to cost them 15 nicker a time to watch it as well.
Flipping heck, that's harsh, isn't it, Christ?
That's not good, is it?
And all Sky managers will likely be on the opposition striker, I would guess, as well for those games. So everyone's going to be cheering on every time West Brom
cheering on goals into the Johnston net.
Exactly.
Okay, and then on the next game week. Again, Friday fixture, Wolves v Palace, standalone fixture. Saturday, Sheffield United v Man City, Burnley, Chelsea, Liverpool v West Ham. Again, popular players for captaincy there. Sunday, Villa v Southampton. Could be a bit of a goal fest, that, I think. Newcastle, Everton, Man United, Arsenal, and Tottenham v Brighton. So again, plenty of choice there. And then the Monday is Fulham v West Brom and Leeds v Leicester. That was slightly more tricky, but I'm fairly sure if push comes to shove, we can have a Leeds defender we can stick in there for a bonus point or two.
I think if at that point, so I know that's only the second game week back, but I still think there's so much variance every game. You know, if Leeds go and concede another load of goals on game week 6, it may be quite nerve-wracking, though Dallas and Alien have been superb for bonus, to be fair, haven't they? So. Okay, so
I think when you're looking if you're looking for defenders, it's going to be either clean sheets or attack returns or bonus points.
I think so, yeah.
You're not going to get all 3 with Leeds, but the price you're paying, it's going to be cheap as chips, really.
Agree. This is where it gets really interesting. So obviously we knew about all that, and many engaged Sky players kind of know the fixtures. But I think I think it's probably reasonably easy to kind of navigate. This is where it gets interesting because Ian has done some projections now for the following 6 game weeks. So from game week 9, I believe, through to game week 14. So Ian, do you want to talk us through your?
Yeah, I'll take you through sort of the way that it sort of works is based mainly on the European teams.
Right.
So we've got 2 pairs in the Champions League playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays alternately. So Manchester City share with Liverpool and Chelsea share with Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the Europa League teams who always play Thursday in the Europa League. So that's Tottenham, Arsenal and Leicester. So their fixtures for the Premier League will always be a Sunday or an outside chance of a Monday. So with the TV deal at the minute with the pay-per-view games, they're looking to get them all in different slots. So we're quite likely to have Friday and or Monday fixtures while there's European games going on.
Right, okay.
And they're almost certainly going to be between teams that don't have a European side in them. So if you have a look at the first one there that I've put projection for what could be played on Friday, the 6th of November, it's not very attractive teams at all, really. We've got Brighton v Burnley, Crystal Palace v Leeds, Southampton v Newcastle, and West Ham v Fulham. And I sort of graded these teams on sort of a good, an okay, and a poor. So out of the non-European teams, I'd say there's 5 good teams to pick from. I'd go with Villa, Everton, Leeds, West Ham, and Wolves. 3 that are okay. There's Brighton, Newcastle, and Southampton. And then 5 that are pretty poor. Burnley, Palace, Fulham, Sheffield United, and West Brom. So the good sides for Villa, you can pick from Watkins, Grealish, Konsa, Martinez. Everton, you've got Allen, James Rodriguez, Richarlison or DCL. Leeds, Dallas, Ayling, Klitsch, Costa, even Bamford if he keeps it up. West Ham, Antonio, Souček, Masuaku has come in, he's quite cheap, playing as a defender as well rather than a midfielder. And then Wolves, Jimenez, whichever of the cheap defenders gets the slot, and Patricio. So when you're looking at these fixtures, you want to see whether you can get one of these guys from each team, if possible, and then sort of leave them there up until mid-December when the European fixtures finish. So in this next set, you're going to have fixtures through November and December, where there's going to be 4 sets of Premier League matches with 3 European matches. Then we've got the international break. Then they come back and have 4 Premier League matches with the final set of 3 European matches. And they're all back-to-back this year.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's going to take us up to mid-December. So then we look at the Saturday fixtures there. Some of those that I've projected for a Friday might come back to the Saturday because they're only going to play 2 on a Friday maximum. Probably going to play 2 Friday, 3 Saturday, 3 Sunday, 2 Monday maybe. But on that first week, there's definitely not going to be any games on the Monday because they all go off the international break again.
Right, that makes sense.
Okay. So when they come back from the international break, we've got possibility of games on Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday. And the only ones that are guaranteed to be on the Saturday are Man United v West Brom and Newcastle v Chelsea. And that's because they play in the Champions League the following Tuesday.
Well, and that's a plum home game there for a Man United player, you'd guess, on that Saturday at home to West Brom.
If you notice there for the Sunday, Tottenham v Man City, almost certainly like to be on the Sunday at 4:30, first pick for Sky TV. And those that are holding on to Tottenham assets, we'll see. This could be a prime time to be bringing your Man United ones in because the fixtures switch at the back end of November and into December. And then the fixtures, again, that could be played on the Monday are your lesser teams. But you could have Everton away at Fulham's not too bad there, or even Wolves at home to Southampton. Fairly decent chance of some kind of returns. It'll be more a case of whether you get to see the team for the captain. That's going to be the problem. Because they will almost certainly have the lesser of the fixtures on the early shift and the better one on the late.
Just a question, Ian, just while you're in the middle of this. You mentioned about all the Champions League and I'm assuming Europa League games being back to back for 6 weeks. Do you think?
Yeah, they're back to back for 3 weeks, and then there's the international break, and then back to back for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, okay. But do you think that players like, I don't know, I'm thinking of players like maybe Vardy, potentially, Aguero will be back soon, maybe Kane, all these players are going to play 6 games in 3 weeks, have a break in which they'll have to play more international matches and then play another 6 games or 3 weeks? Or do you think there's kind of merit potentially in looking further afield there, in the teams we're talking about, teams like potentially Villa, so Grealish will likely play 90 in every game, the Everton boys.
The guys that aren't playing Europe will almost certainly play 90 in every game. The ones that are in Europe will be like team dependent.
Yeah.
Remember back last year, Pep, the City, sort of had a European team and a Premier League team. I think Aguero played a lot of the Champions League games, and Jesus was playing in the Premier League games when they were playing in both.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts?
Arsenal tend to pick a lesser side, don't they, when they're going in Europe?
Yeah.
All of the big players play in the Premier League there.
Yeah, this could be interesting because obviously we'll touch on it in a bit, but there's so many 50-50 players. There's so many incredible options, and this could potentially be a decider between a couple of players. If you're thinking between, say, I don't know, let's just say maybe Vardy and Kane, or Bruno at the moment. There's a big question over Bruno. We'll touch on him later. There's it could potentially be the kind of clincher on whether you have a player or not. Are these players going to be able to play all these games without getting an injury, without being kind of brought off early, and all these things? So I'm sure we'll touch on players later, but it is this has helped me understand that those players in Europe are going to have a lot of football.
There's a lot of football to be played, yeah. And they do have big squads, but most of the big games are going to have the same 12, 13, 14 players in, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Apologies for interrupting you anyway, and you carry on with
That's all right, no problem. So then we get to week 12, which is the back end of November, and we'll see there again there's some teams that can be played on the Friday, and on the Saturday that week the only guaranteed matches are Brighton v Liverpool and Man City v Burnley. Yeah. So again, you think 2 prime captaincy options there. The Southampton Man United game could be moved to the Sunday, and then you've got the Sunday games, which are your Europa League teams: Arsenal v Wolves, Chelsea v Tottenham. That's a second difficult match for Tottenham on the trot there. So, and then Leicester v Fulham. So you can't imagine that Jose is going to be picking a weak side against Man City and against Chelsea. So it could be their Europa League team, and in the middle of that week is the game that's going to be the rest for Kane or Son, if he thinks he needs one. I mean, Harry Kane plays every game, doesn't
he? He does. Mind you, now they've signed Vinicius, he may get a bit of a rest in a couple of the easy Europa games potentially, but we'll see.
Okay. And then first week of December, again, there's possibility of a Friday or Monday on this week. So you've got Villa against Newcastle, Brighton v Southampton, Burnley v Everton, and West Brom v Palace. And it could be some of those that move, some on a Friday and some on a Monday. And there's less stellar options, shall we say, there. I'd say the Villa boys maybe at home to Newcastle pick of the fixtures there.
Yeah.
And then on the Saturday, Chelsea v Leeds and West Ham v Man United, certain to be on the Saturday. And then you've got Liverpool v Wolves and Man City v Fulham. So whichever day Man City v Fulham, I think we'll be going for a captaincy there.
That makes sense.
And then the Sunday, Sheffield United v Leicester, and then the North London derby, Tottenham v Arsenal, which you would think would be 4:30 on Sunday afternoon live on Sky. Normally is.
Fantastic.
And then we come to sort of the first of the FPL double game weeks, as it were, 2 weeks in one. Or a Sky, I think we're going to have matches there from Friday, probably all the way through to Thursday on that week.
I mean, could be fun.
So, yeah. So the Friday fixtures, some of these could be Monday, but I doubt it because we're going to be playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Premier League again. So possible Friday, Leeds v West Ham, Newcastle v West Brom, Southampton v Sheffield United, and Wolves v Villa. Saturday, Everton v Chelsea, Fulham v Liverpool. And then a Sunday, the Europa League teams, Arsenal, Tottenham and Leicester. And then the Manchester Derby, which will almost certainly be at 4:30 on the Sunday that week. So not many games on the Monday. And by dint of weather falling on the previous weekend, not many games probably on the Tuesday, because you'll have had to play on the Friday or the Saturday, both teams, to get a Tuesday fixture.
Yep.
So looks like Leeds v Newcastle and Wolves v Chelsea. And then the other 8 will be slotted in either Wednesday or Thursday. That's BT Sport, I think, that week, or Amazon, one or the other. And they've got 3 days worth of coverage. They'll try and get as many as they can.
Superb. And if anyone...
So a bit of a smorgasbord of fixtures to get through there.
And if anyone is wondering why we constantly talk about Ian Parrin and his planning tool, this is the level of insight and depth. I can see myself, I don't know how you feel, Dan, but I'm just stunned at the level of kind of insight that we can actually get here. Obviously, you know, none of this is 100%, but you can, you know, everything that Ian says making absolute sense. And if you're not a hub member, so Ian, who's on the stream with us now, he's got his transfer planner on the Fantasy Football Hub website for members. If you're not a member and you want this level of insight, you really want to push up into the upper echelons of being a Sky Fantasy manager. This is what we've got available on the hub. So please sign up and take Ian up on all his incredible knowledge and information. Thank you so much for that, Ian. You have absolutely blown my mind. I've got to be honest. I didn't see this before the stream, so I'm looking at it for the first time with fresh eyes. And there was a comment earlier up in the chat off Thomas Hartley, I think it was, saying that it felt like he was in a uni lecture for Premier League fixtures. So well done there, Ian. Hopefully you've done a really good. Hopefully that's been incredibly helpful. I'll go back on this stream and take photos of those 2 screens and make sure with my planning. So yeah. Welcome.
I'll tweet that out, Andrew.
Yes, do.
The spreadsheet with the predicted fixtures. I'll send that on my Twitter later on.
Superb. Thank you so much, Ian. That was absolutely fantastic. Okay, moving on then. So Ian has also got some information on points per player in terms of what you need to win Sky Fantasy. So Ian, over to you again.
Okay. Let me ask you a question then, Andrew. How many players do you think you use in a Sky season?
Use in a Sky season?
Yeah. So total number of players.
So
not different ones, just total.
So I would say roughly, so we got 38 game weeks, average 3.5. 100. Oh no, that's wrong. I don't know.
What about you, Dan?
I don't
How
know.
many do you think?
I'm
I'll
just going to say 400.
Yeah. Well, if you never use a transfer and you've got a player playing every week, 38 game weeks, 11 players is 418.
Right, Christ.
Well, far off.
So if you use a transfer and you get an extra player in, that's going to be 458. So, say for example, we don't get one because it's an injury. Say we use the transfers, we get 450 players.
Flipping heck.
And then 2-for-1s. How many of your transfers usually you're going to get a 2-for-1 on out of your 40? 25?
Yeah, I'd say,
roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives you 475 players that you can use. And then how many game days do you think they're going to be over?
100
even more this season.
130, 140 maybe?
Last year it was 116.
Okay.
So it could be a few more this year with a few Friday fixtures. So if you've got 475 players and 115 game days, say you miss a captain 5 times, 110 captains.
Right.
Seems a fair average, yeah?
Yeah.
So how many points do you want from your captain? If we got 7.5 points every captain?
Yeah.
Double up to 15?
Yeah, it's probably fair, I think, is it?
Fair enough?
That would do, wouldn't it?
So your captaincy points then is 1,650. And how many points do you think from your normal player? If we can average, you've got a good team that's going to win the tournament. 5 points per player per week.
Yeah. Go on.
Two for playing.
Yeah.
The odd assist, the odd bonus, the odd man of the match. So you've got 365 players at 5 points a time is 1,825, and 110 captains at 15 points a time, 1,650. Is your grand total of 3,475 points.
Wow! So that is all you need.
Is enough to win.
Is 5 points a player and 7.5 points a captain.
Yep. If you can do that for every captain, every player, every week, you'll beat Liam's winning score from last year.
Wow, that is pretty incredible. I think that just shows that consistency is key over trying to haul every game there, isn't it? Blimey, that's what does that help you with, Ian, in terms of choosing your players? Because I immediately think of maybe someone like Højbjerg, for example, who is someone for me who will probably get between 3, 4, and 8 points nearly every week.
Most weeks.
Yeah. What do you get? Does that kind of help you pick a certain kind of player?
It means you want sort of two different types, really. You want those that will tick along, you never have to move, and you want those that you get in that you're going to captain at the right time.
Yeah.
And you want them in when they're in form and when the fixtures are going for them.
So what about players? Let's use Antonio probably as an example of a player. So his next 3 fixtures are not very nice. He looks really good value if he scores. If he scores, which he's not going to score every game. If he doesn't score, he'll like to get a 2-pointer. Do you think Antonio is a good pick when his fixtures are not very good?
I think Antonio is a good pick, full stop. He's one of those at the price you can probably afford to leave in. Okay. And if he doesn't perform, then you just have to take it on the chin. You're not going to get 5 points every week. You'll get 2, 2, 2, 12, exactly. 10, 2, 2, 7, or whatever it might be. Yeah. But at that price, you can afford to leave him in. He doesn't need to go anywhere. It's the more heavy hitting types that you need to get in at the right time and get the captaincies for them.
So you're talking about players like Salah, Kane, Aubameyang, all these players, yeah. but it's having them at the right time. So when you're going to captain them and when their fixtures are kind, is that what you're saying?
And planning ahead to when you want them.
Yeah,
we can see now that Harry Kane is probably going to be in most people's teams for the next 4 or 5 fixtures. But when they stiffen up and they take on City, Chelsea and Arsenal back-to-back, there's a good opportunity then to move him on for somebody like Bruno, who's got an easier set, and you might hit him when he's hitting form with the fixtures to help.
You've absolutely blown my mind, Ian. We got some comments in the chat. We've got Elzo97. Ian isn't human, and James Hyde says Ian is the Marcelo Bielsa of Sky FF. Unbelievable analysis. I completely agree. So in terms of the makeup of of your Sky team, let me just try and summarize this a little bit. What you're saying is a kind of at any one time you'd probably look to have maybe 7, 8, or 9 of your core players who you'd generally look to leave in for their say medium term.
Yeah. And
then you would have your 2 or 3 heavy hitting captaincy options where you would be spending your transfers on trying to maximise those captaincy hauls.
Yeah. What I'd like to do for the overhaul, you remember last year when we did the overhaul, how many fixtures did we have televised, predicted? I think there was 6. So we had the overhaul in early September. They already had the TV fixtures up to October.
Yeah, we had a good 6 weeks, didn't we?
Right, yeah, there was 6 sets that were done. We've only got 3 now. So I'm planning my team for these 3 sets of fixtures and a little bit further ahead, not to use a single transfer in any of them.
Yes, that makes sense because the fixtures are quite favourable.
The fixtures are kind.
Yeah, I
think the players are reasonably priced. Yeah. You can get a good team with a reasonable captain in every week without spending too much money. And you can get a good cross-section of teams as well.
I think we've been really fortunate this year, just thinking in particular of teams like Leeds, Everton and Villa, because probably last year, well, obviously not Leeds, because they were in the Premier League. But Leeds, Everton, and Villa, Leeds and Villa especially, who you would probably guess are going to finish in the second half. They've got some incredible, cheap, really good options. Which we were talking a bit off stream about how this year it seems much easier than other years to build a very strong team. But the problem or dilemma we've got is there are so many options because of the way that the league has started. From not far off, every team in the league, and if we think even teams like Man City, Man United, Chelsea haven't really started playing really well yet, either of they. So
No.
because we'll move on to Bruno, but I personally think that now Pulisic is back, that Chelsea, who have got nice fixtures, will now turn into a decent team as well. I think the dilemma this year compared to other years is it's not how you can afford to have everyone in your team. It's which one. You could literally pick a short list of 40 or 50 players, and everyone would have a very good case for being in your overall team. I think that's fair to say.
I did a list. I've got 36.
36. There you go. That's not bad. How's your short list looking, Dan?
Yeah, I haven't actually counted up numbers, but I would say a good 30 odd, because, and like we said beforehand, it's just what do you do? Because you got them Ayling, Dallas are so cheap. Do you know what I mean? And Antonio, Pulisic, great. Like, you can get De Bruyne, Fernandes, Kane, Calvert-Lewin. It's, his hand, like, you can totally ignore, couldn't you? Like Liverpool defence, just go for like these cheaper ones because they're doing it, aren't they? So yeah, I do think it is easier this. I think last season, Norwich defenders were cheap, but you weren't picking any of them, were you? They might as well not listed them in the player list. But yeah. I think but it is just which way do you go? Like we said about with Wolves, do you just stick Patricia
last year we had a couple of cheap ones, didn't we? But they weren't from the best. You had to get the fixtures right. Dan Burn and the guy from Villa, right back.
Oh, Gilbert. He was in for a bit. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for that, Ian. You certainly, I think you've blown everyone's mind, but you've given us a really, really good, head start going into the overhaul for what kind of teams, what kind of fixtures, and what kind of players, which is exactly what we should be potentially looking for. So thank you so much for that, Ian. That was incredible. And thanks to everyone on our Twitter who have put in with some questions for some topics for tonight's show. Lots of them relate to positions. So tonight, what we thought we would do is discuss position by position, the options, the strategy, and the players we are favouring for each one, answering the questions as we go through. We're going to start with strikers and move our way backwards to focus on the important and interesting options first. So in terms of overhaul strikers, we had questions off One Mad World saying worth starting with Jimenez to get two good captains coverage and then take out the Sunday for either Calvert-Lewin or James for a 3-for-2 and to miss Everton's first tricky fixtures. I guess there's more value to come, but probably would captain Jimenez first two games. And then Warren Moon says DCL versus Rodriguez, even if Richarlison is back soon. So Ian seems to have lost his connection again. We're very, very fortunate to have had him at the right time. Oh, he's back, look. So, Dan, what are your thoughts on strikers for the overhaul?
So hard, mate. Like I say, in my shortlist, I've got Salah, Kane, Son, Calvert-Lewin. Even like the look of Watkins. He's only 8.6. Yeah. And don't laugh. This is the sort of player you'd pick, but more pay, 8.5 million.
It's on my list.
Yeah, it's on my list.
He's number one on my list. Being the sort of player I'd pick.
I think he's all right because you look at midfielders like Grealish at 8.5. I think same price. I'd rather have more pay in. Do you know what I mean? Because he's, and like I say, like Ian talked about Brighton. He's gonna play 90 minutes every week, and they've got no Europe and stuff like this, and you can guarantee it'll be a Brighton versus Fulham on a Friday night. It's going to be one of these games. You ain't got.
You'll definitely get one like that.
But they're the sort of strikers really. Or interestingly, Man City play the first game on the 24th and the 31st, so the 12:30, or actually, I think the 31st is Saturday as well. Yeah, so can you imagine the Saturday, you see Aguero in the starting lineup, you can still make a move. Do you know what I mean? He could be one. I think he's supposed to be due back end of October, isn't he? So
Yeah, he is.
He might be back for that West Ham. But can you imagine at Man City, West Ham, Aguero in the starting lineup? You think, oh, here we go. So, but yeah, all the strikers who have been in form, really. Like I can't look past the Spurs, Everton, Liverpool. Really.
I can't believe you said Mopai is my pick. He's the only one I've got on my list because I knew that you guys would cover off the rest. So I had Mopai. I had fixtures, very consistent on penalties on my notes. That's really that's interesting.
He's the seventh best points per million out of every player.
And I think as
4 goals, an assist.
I think
dropped his twice.
So we've mentioned a couple of times as well about covering different teams for when we get the fixtures in the future as well. And if you are planning on having Martinez in goals, for example, for Villa, so Martinez will cover you for Villa, whereas as you mentioned, that's a really good point in terms of potentially, if you are tossing up Mopai against Grealish, Mopai just gives you that extra team, that extra option if any of those games do fall on the Friday or the Monday as well. So I do think that's a good point there. Ian, have you got any other strikers that Dan hasn't talked about?
Jimenez and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, obviously, for different fixtures. But I think my plan's going to be Salah and Kane and one other.
Yeah. And we had a question specifically around Calvert-Lewin or Rodriguez. What are your thoughts on that, Ian?
I'd probably go with Rodriguez for the main reason you've got 5 midfield slots. Calvert-Lewin's going to take up one of your only 3 attacking slots.
And Dan, so we had a question around, is it worth starting with Jimenez to get the 2 good captains? So again, in terms of covering Wolves, we talked about potentially having Martinez in goals, potentially having Patricio in goals to cover. Jimenez is that kind of player, because he's on penalties as well. He's a really good striker. Okay, he hasn't really hit form so far this season, but he's the kind of player, who will and who can quite quickly. And I believe last year he got quite a few Man of the Match awards as well. What are your thoughts on kind of going on Jimenez first for those captaincies and then moving off onto another striker later, maybe Everton players?
You can't do that. So Wolves, you could have him in for the first 2, but Everton play Southampton on the same day they play Newcastle, don't they? So
yeah, I think you'd have to go for three fixtures for Wolves and then move on after the Friday game.
Yeah. Like I said about Jimenez, and someone put it in our WhatsApp chat, didn't they? Like, if you go through Jimenez's goals per game, it's like 1, nothing, 1, nothing, 1. What, like, he never gets 2. Did he get 2 goals maybe once in the game? But it's always 1. He just gets 1 goal. Yes. And I think, do I want to have him in for 3 games where he gets 1 goal? Yeah, brilliant. Might get 18 points as a captain if he gets man of the match or something. Or I'll just stick Patricio in and I'll have a goalkeeper captain. And, they've probably got as much chance against, especially Newcastle and Palace, as keeping a clean sheet if you ever as you have of him scoring. So, and you don't need to use a transfer. So, you could do that move. That would be fine to have him and then move him on to Calvert-Lewin. But I sort of have that relationship with Jimenez. Whenever I get him in, he just doesn't want. It's just not sensational, is it? So that does put him off a bit for me. But yeah, it's not a bad shout. But I'll probably go Patricio.
Yeah, my tuppence on that, Andrew, is attacking players from attacking teams and defensive players from defensive teams. And Wolves are the epitome of a defensive team.
They are.
Good mantra.
And then manager, haven't they? Have even said they play not to lose.
They play for a 1-0.
Get the goal, exactly. The only thing where I am tempted to go with Jimenez, if you look at the fixtures they've got, so they're away to Leeds first, which is obviously a nice game because Leeds are very open at the back. They're then home to Newcastle, home to Palace, away to Leicester, who have been quite suspect at the back as well, then home to Southampton. So those first 5 games there, and I think a big factor, as we touched on earlier, is Wolves are not in Europe either. So Jimenez is he's like to play 85 plus minutes.
He plays the full 90, doesn't he? Most
weeks. So that's the only thing why I am quite tempted to go for Jimenez, because that run of fixtures is very, very good. And if I'm banking on a clean sheet, especially in a season so far of very few clean sheets, that's the only thing I'm a bit nervous of. So I will probably go for Jimenez, but we will see. But
are you going Jimenez and Morpay then, Andrew?
No, I'm probably not going Morpay. I fancy Jimenez over Morpay, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Yeah, and then obviously Salah and Kane. Even though I do think Mane, the only thing for me in Salah's favour is penalties, and it's so frustrating because I believe Mane is a better player, and if you look at Mane's average position, he plays a lot more centrally than Salah as well, and he tends to score his goals from not far off in the 6-yard box. So I think Mane is actually a better option. But it's the penalties. This is the only thing so far this season is you don't need to play well to score a penalty, and if Salah gets a penalty, he's guaranteed 18 points, whatever it's going to be. So a bit frustrating.
2 penalties, 2 shots on target bonus as well.
This is what Vardy's been having, haven't he? So moving on to Overhaul midfielders, we had questions from @CraigNice. Is Pulisic worth a punt over Grealish or James, etc.? Reese FF, Fernandez essential or replaced with a second Liverpool defender, an FPL heavyweight and Sky FF. To go with Bruno Fernandes or not? He takes up a lot of budget. I'm on the fence. And an FPL overthinker, Chase Halls or target reliable bonus points, e.g. Grealish versus Højbjerg. I think that's the exact question we asked earlier, actually. So, Dan, can I ask you first your thoughts on Bruno? 1, is he in your Overhaul team at the moment? And 2, what are your thoughts on him anyway?
Yeah, I really like him. I don't know if everyone listens, but I didn't have him towards the end of last season, and he was killing me every game, getting just point from everywhere and even this season, like that. Yeah, Manchester United haven't been great. They got pumped by your lot, didn't they, last week? But he's still got 25 points. I think he's just one of them players. He takes the pens, which they seem to get every game, and that's what United are doing. Not so great. So I can only see him getting better. They can't carry on like that. They didn't really have as much of a They started off basically 2 weeks behind everyone else, didn't they? So I think that's where they are, and I think they're going to be all right. So yeah, he is in my plans. Too scared not to have him, especially when you consider what his ownership's going to be as well. And
so United haven't been playing well. Bruno hasn't been playing well, and he's still averaging over 8 points a game. That is quite a stat there. So when he is playing well, he's gonna likely average for me over the 8 a game for most of the season, which was 30. Let's say 35 times 8, for example, wherever that is, 260, 270 points. 280 points. I think he won't be far off that. I quite like that people are debating not having him. I think that's good because he's going to be one of the top point scorers by the end of the season. So for people to be considering not having him, I think it's pretty good.
Spoilers, he's not in my team at the minute.
Oof, Ian, flipping heck. There we go. Who is in your team instead of Bruno? Who's your cash cow?
Let's a quick look at my...
Because being the planning man you are, you must have a plan to bring him in.
I have got a plan, and it's going to be for Kane at the end of November.
Yeah, I think...
So my midfield at the minute is looking like KDB, James, Pulisic and Grealish.
Lovely looking team. And Pulisic, what are your thoughts on Pulisic, Ian?
Great at the price.
Yeah.
He's cheaper than last year. He's fit now. Chelsea look just coming into form. They've got Pulisic's back. Ziyech, I think, is back now.
Yeah.
He's played for Morocco and come back into the country ready for this weekend. I think with Pulisic as well at the price, if you want him, you need to be starting with him or have a plan to have him, because the other guys like James and Grealish and Harvey Barnes, they're all cheaper.
Yeah.
So if you don't have Pulisic and then he goes on fire and you need him, if you've left yourself short, you're not gonna be able to get him in without 2 or 3 moves.
Out there, thanks for that excellent tip there, Ian. What about some other midfielders? Who else have you been looking at, Dan, from midfield? Anyone interest you?
So we talked about Bruno, didn't we? Harvey Barnes, 8.2, I think is a good price. J-Rod, James, 8.8 million. Who else have I got here? Do you know, I think you'll be under the radar. I look for players that will be under the radar a bit in what I think. And I really like him because he used to play for Norwich. Maddison, 8.8 million. I think he, I think he could do all right, and I don't think many people will have him because he didn't really start. I know he came on as a sub the first couple of games, scored a good goal against Man City, didn't he?
Cracker.
But I think he'll be a little bit under the radar. But I think him, don't know about some people sort of shot me down when I said about it before the Liverpool game. But Barkley, 8 million, I think he'll be good. Alan, we talked about it before, 8.1 million. He's got 8 bonus points in 3 games. I think he'll be good. Partey, Arsenal, 8.2. If he can get tackling or if he can get passing, or if he can get some sort of bonus, I think he's a good little price. Zaha, 8.9 million. Great games. Could even do your captaincy, can he as well? He's good.
Yeah, he's 7th for points per million, Zaha, for the midfielders.
And he's gone down. You think he used to be 10 million plus a few seasons ago. Now he's 8.9, so I think he's good. It's a bit he's probably a bit done by, but Bowen at West Ham, 7.9 million. I know everyone looks at Antonio, but I like him. And then Klitsch.
He's also in the top 10.
Yeah, Klitsch, 7.3.
And Klitsch, yeah. He's 10th, I think, Klitsch.
I think just touch as well on Zaha. If you look at Palace's fixtures, their next 6, so they home to Brighton, obviously a nice fixture. Away to Fulham, we're shipping goals all the time. They're away to Wolves. Okay, that kind of may go either way, but Wolves have been, they shipped.
Had a good beating by West Ham, didn't they?
They're then home to Leeds, who've been conceding. They're away to Burnley, who've been conceding. Then they're home to Newcastle. So Palace's next 6, in terms of getting in Zaha potentially for that run of 6, you would guess he's quite low owned as well. Because everyone else will be looking at players like Rodriguez, Harvey Barnes, etc. I think Zaha is quite, a nice little pick in there for the first 6, then potentially move him on then, for someone else, kind of at that point then. But yeah.
I'll give you one more as well.
Oh yeah, go on.
Who no one, I don't think anyone will think of really too much. Jorginho, whether we're keeping the team, but 8.4 million. He's got 28 points, and 3 goals, takes the penalties. Whether that's going to carry on, but looking at what's happened so far, he's not a bad pick.
There's a couple of rogues as well sitting in the top 10 at the minute. Costa at Leeds and Robinson at West Brom. If they keep it up, they've got points per million of, quick look here, 3.68 and 3.55.
Nice. Do you think
Robinson's down as midfielder as well, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
His maybe a bit exaggerated, obviously, because he got the goals against Chelsea in that really strange match. But if he, I think he gets brought off early. I think with him is the only kind of negative point. He tends to come off early. But
I don't think many will be picking him, but it's one to keep an eye on.
No,
if he keeps there, he might be an enabler for something else moving further forward.
Indeed. Apparently, Villa, I believe, West Ham. I got everyone excited then. West Ham are on the cusp of signing Ben Rama from Brentford. Now, he might be a really decent option, or he could make Antonio or whoever else, a better option again potentially. But I think we could maybe afford to wait on West Ham. Antonio is probably a really good pick in his own rights, regardless of fixtures. But the next 3 are horrific, and after that they're nice. But we get to see potentially how Ben Rama fits into that team.
See how much he is as well.
Exactly, because if he's, I doubt he will be, but if he's 7 point something or early 8s, he's in that.
Is he likely to be a striker? Do we think?
Oh yeah, probably, isn't he?
Oh yeah, maybe. He may fill that spot. I had Partey as well for Arsenal. Gabriel has got tier 2 passing in 3 of the 4, so you'd imagine that Partey would be knocking it back and forth with Gabriel and everyone else. So I think Partey would probably be quite decent again for passing, even though their fixtures again are horrendous, so he may be a wait and see. Anyone else
to keep an eye on?
Yeah.
I think pretty much everything covered there, to be fair. There's nothing else looking on the points per million that hasn't been set out the top 10, put it that way.
Okay, so let's move on to defenders then. And we had questions off FPL Off Spinner. Best defender below 8 million currently on Sice. Phantom Mantle. Leeds defence double up. Have I gone mad? I think yes, but we'll let the guy into that now. FPL Heavyweight. Seen a lot of people ditching Liverpool defence altogether. My thoughts are going My thoughts are good to have one of them. They'll surely get better long term and will be hard to get them in later down the line. Agree with that. And Glenroy says thoughts on Diaz. So Ian, immediately, what are your thoughts on Diaz? He could be a really nice option there. If
so, wait and see for me. He's only played the once. Difficult to know whether he's going to get any type of bonus. He did look an aerial threat, but he was off target. And City haven't looked secure at the back. So for me, it's a wait and see. Better options at the minute. So he's not in my current team.
And Dan, what are your thoughts on Liverpool defence? It's a really interesting one because this is probably quite key to the structure of the whole team, right? If you have a Liverpool defender or two, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you could go without them. They are so much money, aren't they? Like I said, the guy said on Twitter, I've seen so many like Dallas and Ayling double up, and you can get such a good looking front sort of seven, can't you? If you have them two in, I'm up for it. Do you know what I mean? They get bonus, don't they? So yeah, I didn't have Liverpool for a lot of the beginning last season. I didn't have Trent and Van Dijk or anything at the start. I then did have to bring Van Dijk in, but I don't know. I think sometimes people look at it like as last season's game, aren't they? But the first 4 weeks have shown us completely sort of different beasts so far. So yeah, I think a lot of people will be going about. It'll be interesting to see the ownership stats of the Liverpool defenders when we restart. So yeah, that's that for Liverpool. I know you didn't ask me about Diaz, but I think exactly the same about Ian for Diaz. I think he's a bit of a wait and see what's happening. Really, could be great, but I don't think I'll be putting him in from the off.
Sure. And Ian, just what are your thoughts on like Van Dijk, Robertson, 1, 2, none? What are your thoughts?
The way that I look to build a side, always get the most expensive defender, most expensive midfielder, and a most expensive striker. Then you can work backwards or forwards from there. So I will probably be having one in. At the minute, it's Van Dijk, but if I need a little bit of cash, it could be Robertson. And yeah. we look and see that Liverpool haven't defended very well this year. They are both still in the top 15 for defensive points, Robertson and Van Dijk.
Yeah. This is the thing with players like, we mentioned about Bruno, Van Dijk. They're not playing well, but they still score the points. And that's exactly what we mentioned.
Still scoring points, yeah.
This is it. And even though they are expensive, that's what you pay the premium for, right? And De Bruyne would be the same, wouldn't he? I know he hauled in game week 1, but he's another where you just like we didn't even mention De Bruyne in midfielders, and it's probably because I would guess
everybody's going to have
probably
him.
a lock in everyone's team. So yeah, absolutely. Just a couple of other defenders. So these are probably more not ones I'd maybe start with, but ones I've got my eye on. So Spurs' new left back Reguilon. 8.3 million. He looked very attacking last week, and when they made a substitution, he actually moved kind of in behind the strikers, which was very, very strange because my opposite manager I was playing on the Fantrax game had Reguilon on his team, and he was on some set pieces, and he kind of moved in behind Kane and Son for the last 5 minutes of the game, which was just bizarre and very unexpected. But it's worth keeping an eye on him. He's very, very, very attacking, so he could be a decent option down the line. Gabriel, we kind of already mentioned, so he's had tier 2 passing in every game he's played. So he played 3, didn't play the one against, I think, Liverpool, I want to say.
It was, I think, yeah.
But he's got...
Yeah, he played David Luiz instead.
Yeah, so he got tier 2 passing in every game he's played. I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that. So, and I think at 8 million, that's a good price. We're talking about the 5 points a game. Well, if he gets tier 2 passing every game, he's going to average that 5 and more, you'd guess. And the other one, and it was mentioned earlier on in the chat, I think it was, I want to say Martin Beasley, I'm not sure, but Semedo, when I watched Wolves last week against Fulham, he nearly scored. He was so close to scoring. I think he shot from not far off inside the 6-yard box. It hit the keeper's bum, bounced down and bounced over the bar. And he had a couple of other shots off target, but he looks incredibly attacking as well. So, and at 7.8, I think he could even be an alternative for that Wolves captaincy. I think again, he's just another option. I may not start with 2, 3, or even any of these, but I think they're ones I've got my eye on because they look around about that kind of 8 million, a good price.
Yeah. A couple there, Andrew, in to answer off spinner, best defender below 8 million.
Yeah.
You've got Castagna, Zuma, Mings, Konsa, Keane, Cresswell. They're all in the top 10 points per million for defenders at the minute.
Do you think Zuma's nailed on now?
I don't think anybody in Lampard's team's nailed on, to be fair. But
yes.
he scored a couple of goals, but they only need one bad defensive performance and he'll be dropped for somebody else, won't he? Reece James have played fantastically and then he got dropped.
Yes, yeah, he did. And Leeds defensive double up. So I'm just saying no, but what are your thoughts, guys? Are any of you pro double up Leeds defence?
I've got 2 at the minute.
You have, so you are pro. How about you, Dan?
I've seen a team on Twitter with 2 and I thought, cool, that looks nice. Do you know what I mean? Everyone loves Leeds, don't they? And they're doing all right. So, yeah, I think why not? But, yeah, Ayling and Dallas, I don't see why not. They're such a good price, aren't they?
I think if you're counting the tackles, though, rather than waiting for the clean sheet, I think that's the problem is you're
You never know, do you?
It's the old three-pronged attack
bonus.
again, isn't it? Yeah.
But
at that price, you're not expecting a windfall of points every week.
No, it's fair.
They could be ones that just trickle in.
Yeah, fair enough. And they will get an odd clean sheet as well, won't they? Which is fair enough. So. And finally,
did Dallas have shot bonus?
He did. Well, he tends to move into midfield. So Leeds play 4 at the back when they're playing stronger teams, and then they they tend to play 3 at the back, and Dallas moves into midfield when they play the poorer team. So he's nailed on in my team. He's absolutely nailed on. So looking at goalkeepers then, we have questions from Kelvin at Guest Chef. Goalkeeping options for Overhaul. Palace have good fixtures coming up. Is Guaita a good long-term option? I'm thinking he could take you up to the next Overhaul. And Ben McCrum, Guaita and Vardy with 1 million left. Or possible Calvert-Lewin to Jimenez transfer, or go for Martinez and Salah. We'll have a look at that in a minute. I think it's probably worth pointing out that when we're looking at goalkeepers, I think the advice from top managers such as Dan Ian is generally don't look to waste transfers on goalkeepers. Jens, is that probably a good rule of thumb to start off with? Yeah,
change it at the start of the season, the 2 other hauls, and probably not again.
Okay, so with that in mind, Dan, who are your favourite options at the moment for goalkeeper?
I always sort of say, I don't know, actually, you can split in the 3, but like you either have an Alisson for 8 million or something, although he's injured now, and he's gone. But Alisson or Edison, Patricio I like, plus I say he covers you off captain wise. And a lot of people looking at Martinez, aren't they, at Villa? But I know they kept a couple of clean sheets and he's made a penalty save that might overinflate his score a bit.
He's a shot stopper though, mate. For Arsenal, the end of last season, some of the saves he pulled out, I think he's going to get a fair viewpoint. And Villa, I know that last week was potentially a bit of a freak result, but since lockdown they've come back and they're a different team defensively. I think Martinez is a good option actually.
Yeah, they've improved, haven't they, at the back?
Yeah, Patricio. I just like Patricio because of the captaincy sort of things. He's handy, so it's worth bearing in mind.
I think if you're captain as well with a keeper and they keep a clean sheet as well, that 9 points is the same points as a striker getting a goal and shot bonus as well, isn't it? Which is interesting. I know that I very rarely captain a keeper, but I was very, very envious towards the back end of last season when I saw people captaining Dean Henderson and Nick Pope and getting all these massive hauls, and I was captaining like Salah and getting 4 points where people were getting like 20, 30 point hauls, and it's maybe a strategy to think more about.
That was my key move in the lockdown league last year. Henderson to Pope on that Monday night. Yeah. And he was captain, I think, twice more on standalone fixtures, and he was getting 11 pointers every game.
And that's unbelievable. That's a goal and an assist from a striker or a midfielder who you would pay that premium for in it. So it's probably worth that.
And again, the way that I look to plan a team, keeper would probably be the last one to pick. You pick your other 10 and then get a keeper according to what you can afford. Yeah,
so if you've got like 7 million left, potentially get someone like Patricio Martinez. If you've got 6.5 left, you've got the other options. Yeah. That's a good.
And to answer Kelvin's question, Guaita, I had a look at the fixture ticker, and defensively, they're the best until game week 18.
Okay, and the overhaul, though, is till game week, do we want to say
29,
28, 29 normally in it. But in
I think it's 25 rounds of games. Yeah. That's going to come in with that international break in it in March or whatever. So
if you haven't been that late, do we think? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you haven't got Zaha, as we mentioned earlier, again, you're probably not going to have another Palace player, because I know that Mitchell has been an incredible option up until now, 5.2, but Van Arnold is going to be back soon, so he also gives you that extra player in your team who plays for a different team as well, who can cover off that, a rogue captaincy on a Friday or a Monday as well, which again is something to think about. I think, because if I've got Grealish, for example, I probably wouldn't have Martinez because of it's thinking ahead.
You're on a different team,
You're on a different team. This is the thing. Even if it covers off one captaincy game, that's a transfer you save there, and that and that to me is.
If you look at that game, Wolves v Palace, Patricio v Guaita. If you've got Jimenez, then you can probably go with Guaita. But if you haven't got Jimenez, then Patricio is probably the one to go for.
Really good point. Exactly that. So that's a good point there. Okay, so on to some final questions. So these are not player specific, but they're really interesting ones, about the sort of general questions. So Auto Reclose, is it best to pick the rest of your squad non-captainable players for long-term quality instead of upcoming fixtures in order to protect transfers? It's like, do we take a more long-term strategic approach to picking our team, or do we just focus on the opening game? It's a really good question. Dan, what do you think about that one?
That's so hard to do. Sometimes you get rewarded for it, sometimes you don't. Last season, I had a Wan-Bissaka in my team for about 5 weeks ahead of a Man U single game day.
Yeah.
And in that game day, I think he got booked. They let in a couple and, I didn't get any reward, but I'd held him for 5 weeks. It's just the way it goes, isn't it? Like, you could, say, like we said about Werner, we had him for the Monday, whatever game it was, we had him where he did get an assist. But you think you had him for 4 weeks and he did nothing, basically. And then you had Calvert-Lewin, who's banging the goals in every weekend, and you're like, I only put Werner in because of that captaincy. So it is, sometimes you get rewarded for it, sometimes you don't. It is just, it's like what you said beforehand. You could have Patricio in goal to cover them captaincies, and they get a couple of clean sheets in them days where he's captain, or you could use a transfer, have Jimenez, get rid of him, and he scores 2 goals in a game for once, and then it's hard. It's just, you've got to be a bit lucky with it, really. There's no sort of right or wrong, is there? It's just your luck.
Yeah, pays your money, takes your chances, yeah?
Mm.
Yeah, are you a bit more, Ian, then, of a long-term strategist in choosing your team?
I'd try. Yeah, if I'm looking at my team now, it'll be pretty much up till maybe round about Boxing Day, and I'll be looking to see what moves I want to get. Even if they don't come off, at least I'll have the money or the formation to be able to get them.
How many transfers do you think, or do you hope you will have left on Boxing Day, all being equal, sort of thing?
The plan that I've made so far, and this involves taking Kane out for Bruno and a couple of other changes to help facilitate that. I've used one so far, which was the Orba to KDB in game week 2. And I've got 3 planned up until, I think it's the 21st of December, if that's whatever weekend that is before. So the 1 week before Boxing Day.
So you're going to have 35 transfers left on Boxing Day is your plan?
That's my plan, yeah. Because I think if you look at the fixtures of when, from the 12th of December to the 6th of February, is only 56 days, where they're playing 8. So that's 8 weeks, and they're playing 12 game weeks of fixtures in there.
So,
and that's where we're going to have, for the FPL watchers, the blanks and doubles.
Yeah.
So for Sky teams, you're going to have some that miss matches, some that pick extra games up. I think the Villa v Man United and the Burnley v Man City games are going to be in there as well. And that's where, for a planning player like myself, that's going to be my opportunity to utilise the transfers and get ahead of the game then. I might lose some points in the interim period, but I think I'll make them up then.
Yeah, and to and to bring that to life a little bit, especially for newer players. So having 35 transfers left on Boxing Day, what rank would you hope to have at that point? When I say hope to have, realistically be happy with?
Realistically, if I'm where I am now, with that many transfers left, I'll be over the moon.
Which is where?
About 2.5K.
2.5k. So you're hoping 2.5k, 35 transfer boxes a day.
Yeah,
I'd be
pretty
absolutely
much.
over the moon with that. I think if that was right, fair play. Okay. Next question. FPL heavyweight Sky FF. A good amount of money to leave in the bank. I'm thinking I might try and keep 1 million or more, especially seeing how unpredictable this season is. Dan, what do you think about that?
Yeah, good idea. Like Ian said earlier, if you've got the most expensive in each position, you can work backwards, can't you? But I don't think you should ever spend everything. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to look at that and there's no funds available.
Yeah.
You've got to have an exit plan for each player, haven't you? Like if you've got, I don't know, Dallas in there and he's injured or whatever, you've got to have then an exit plan. So having money left in the bank is always handy, but I wouldn't go crazy and have about 4 million left in the bank. But yeah, have a bit left.
Ian, a question of FPL Dempsey at Overhaul. Do you prefer to select a similar 11 players across your both teams or pick two completely different teams?
I will almost certainly have an identical team in both. I might have a different captain, but it'll be the same team.
Yeah, I find it hard to manage two completely different teams.
Two different strategies would be too difficult. Yeah,
mine's so split. Yeah, excellent.
And you play umpteen games as well, don't you, Andrew?
Yes, that's hard enough. Never mind playing multiple
three versions of different games as well.
Don't even start on that. That's quite tough. So thank you very much, Evan, for your question. We do have more questions which we will answer on Twitter if we haven't answered already. But thank you very much, everyone, for all those questions. So hopefully now we are going to move over to our podcast 11, and we're going to pick our podcast 11 here, our Overhaul team. So how we're going to so this team is currently ranked around 25k, which is okay because I don't think we've used any transfers. Pretty good start. So thank you to everyone for all your input in helping managing this team. So how this will work is Dan, Ian, and I will first fill our unanimous bankers first, so to not to waste time in that, and then we'll go to you, our live watchers, to help fill the rest of the team out via your votes. This team will then continue to be managed by you, our watchers, via Twitter polls that we will post each week for transfers and captains. So it seems to have worked pretty well so far. As I say, no transfers used, 25k, pretty good actually. I'm quite happy with that. So, gents, bankers for our podcast team. I'm going to chuck in De Bruyne. Have we got any opposition to De Bruyne?
No, stick him in.
Stick him in. De Bruyne is in. Have we got any other absolute bankers that anyone wants to put forward?
Mo Salah.
Dan, you in agreement with Salah?
Yeah.
I agree with Salah as well. I was thinking of Kane. There may be some opposition with Son. I don't know what you guys think. Do you think it's worth putting Kane versus Son to a vote?
Yeah.
You can do. Yeah, we definitely want one of them.
Okay, and anyone else? Any bankers? I can't really think of any other absolute bankers, mate. Actually. Yeah.
Unless we come back to Kane and Son, if that's the difference between getting someone else in. If we've got the budget, then we obviously go for Kane, don't we? But if we're struggling, we could have Son. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, I think
come back to that.
Yeah,
can we count Dallas as a banker?
I certainly would. Dan, are you in for Dallas?
Yeah. We'll
just find Dallas very, very cheap, 6.3. I want to say. Well, in where is he? How much is Dallas?
6.4, I think.
6.4.
6.4, yeah.
That's him. But sorry about it. Right, Dallas is in. So our bankers, we've got Dallas, De Bruyne, and Salah. So again, just for anyone listening who hasn't played the game before, inexperienced players, the spine of our team is going to be Dallas, De Bruyne, and Salah. So that is something to think about for your own teams if you're unsure about what that spine will look like. Okay, now then. So each of us will now come up with a player who we want in the podcast 11, and we will get people. People started voting already. We've had a few for Son and Kane. So firstly then, Ian, who is a player that you definitely want in your podcast team?
Can I have Rodriguez?
James Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Dan, have you got a different player who you definitely want in your team?
No, fine with James.
James. Okay, so I will chuck in Calvert-Lewin because he seems to be one of the 50s there that people are going on about. So could we have votes, please, for Rodriguez or Calvert-Lewin? And that will be our first vote for which player goes into this podcast team. A good point by Martin Beasley. De Bruyne limped off today. Worth keeping an eye on him. Yeah, I think it might have been cramp, but we will see how that goes. So yeah, could everyone vote for James Rodriguez or for Calvert-Lewin for that Everton spot in our team? The vote's starting to come in. Incredibly split. Actually, I think it's absolutely 50-50, which is really interesting. So while the guys are still voting on that, can we move on to our next one, gents? Ian, who is the next player you think you definitely want in your team?
Can we have somebody a little bit cheaper then? Antonio.
Okay, Dan, anyone else who you definitely want in your team?
I was going to say Antonio. He's got to be in any.
Yeah, are we saying Antonio? So who's an opposition player for Antonio roughly at that price, do we think?
Barnes, 8.2.
Yep, okay. We'll go for Antonio and Barnes. That DCL and Rodriguez one has come in really, really tight. We may have to put that. We may have to, yeah.
We have to put him in.
Maloney looks like DCL may.
It might be a case of whoever can be afforded, Andrew.
Do you know what? That's a really good shout. So we will leave that to the end. We will leave DCL and Calvert-Lewin. I think Calvert-Lewin may just have it, but yeah, we will. We'll see at the end then. So Antonio. So there's Antonio, Barnes. Who else is there at that price range? Or do we just say? I tell you what. Should we just say we all want Antonio in the team? It's probably easier.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he'll be in everyone's team.
Yeah, and I think Antonio, in all fairness, is a bit of a banker there, so we won't waste our time on that one. Okay, another midfielder, Pulisic. Who else around Pulisic's price point, or are we all very, very happy again with Pulisic, or do we think there are other options around that price point?
If we can afford him, yeah, great.
Dan, anyone else around the kind of 9 million in any position at all?
Not really. Like we said, how they've put him down in price from last season is a head scratcher. So I think he's got to go in.
Okay, so everyone's voting for Antonio. Everyone's happy with Antonio, which is great. For Pulisic, could you put Pulisic or any other person who you would go against for Pulisic in the chat? We seem to be building up this kind of team here, which is very, very template. Jonathan Maloney actually says Grealish, so that's a good shout. So let's go Pulisic versus Grealish because they're 0.6 apart. So Grealish versus Antonio, please. We may end up with both of them, who knows? But we will see there.
Being template's all right, mate. It don't matter.
Yeah, it's fine. So Grealish or Pulisic, guys. Right, let's have a defender. So this will be interesting. So I am going to chuck Van Dijk into the mix here. So in terms of defenders, guys, who is your next defender on your list?
I'll take Robertson against your Van Dijk then, Andrew.
Okay, and Dan, do you want to go for a cheaper one? Because obviously then this will be interesting because it will say which way the team is going in terms of structure.
Ayling, we'll go double leads. Ayling is my suggestion.
Absolutely love it. We'll put that vote out now. We're getting much more Grealish over Pulisic, which is really interesting. So everyone's going for Grealish. So we will.
They've all been listening to Adam Hopcroft.
I think they have been listening to Adam Hopcroft. So Grealish, was he 8.5? Grealish, yeah, he was.
I think it was 8.5. Yeah.
Grealish is in the team. Thank you, everyone, for that. That's looking like a really nice team. So this next one now, then this one is brilliant, and this is interesting because this will determine the rest of the team. Van Dijk, Robertson, or Ayling. Could everyone please vote now for Van Dijk, Robertson, or Ayling? Bear in mind, your decision here will affect the rest of the team. So far, we've got 4 Robertsons, which is 5 Robertsons, which is really, really interesting. I love doing this experiment because you really get a feel for how everyone is thinking about this. I absolutely love it. Really good. Robertson is absolutely smashing it. So he is.
Wow.
We've had about 20 Robertsons, 2 Aylings, and no VVDs. So Robertson has found his way into our team. I think Robertson, by the way, is a great pick. He's on. He's taken more corners this year than I'm sure I saw. I think Robertson
He's taken on both sides, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Robertson has taken, I want to say 29 corners, and Trent has taken about 21. Trent has taken 2 direct free kicks. Robertson hasn't taken any, but Robertson is looking. I think he's a great option there. Yes, interesting there. So far, for those who obviously are listening on the podcast and can't see, we've got Robertson and Dallas at the back. We've got De Bruyne, Antonio, and Grealish in midfield, and we've got Salah up front. Thanks for everyone for voting on those. Okay, so next pick, gents. Who do you want in your team? You can still go for, if you want. We can still go for Pulisic. We can go for Ayling again. You can go for whoever you want again. James again if you want. You can go for whoever you want, or a completely different player. Completely up to you.
I'll put James back out again then.
Okay. I'm going to chuck out Bruno Fernandes. And Dan, what are your thoughts on that next player?
I like all the ones you just said, mate. Ayling, James, they're all right.
Let's chuck Ayling in then, because again, you've got the opposite ends of the spectrum there, so it shows which way that
I want that double leads.
The one to go. So the 3 we're choosing from now, we're going for Bruno Fernandes, James Rodriguez, or Ayling. Please choose between those 3. Just obviously bear in mind what it means for the rest of the team budget-wise. I think we may be onto Lampteys and Højbjerg.
We might be
stretching it. We'll definitely be having Son ahead of Kane at this
can't
rate.
afford Kane.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so far we've got 1 Bruno, 1 Ayling. Please keep the votes coming in, and 1 Rodriguez. We've got a really mixed vote for this. Absolutely incredible. It looks like Ayling and Rodriguez are the 2 in front. Really tight.
Do you want to slot them both in then, Andrew?
We
look from there.
I was thinking that then, because it gives us a bit of budget there as well, don't it? So, really tight there. How much was Ayling again?
7.
7.
And James is 8.8.
Yeah.
I mean, 8. This is looking like a very nice team. So now we've got 3-4-1, and we've got Robertson, Ayling, Dallas, De Bruyne, Antonio, Grealish, Rodriguez, and Salah. What a team we are building here. Thank you so much.
We can declare on that, can't we?
I think we
don't need any more.
Can. Thank you, Jonathan Maloney. I think Ayling has. So Jonathan is our independent vote adjudicator. Thank you, Jonathan. You can do this all the time for us. It's incredibly helpful. So we have got 3 players to go. We've got a goalkeeper we need, and then we definitely need another striker, and then the third one could potentially be one of each position. We've got 27.6 million, so we've still got a fair few quid in the bank as well. Should we do the Kane versus Son now that we've got enough cash? We've got 27.6 left, Phil. Phil's asking, have we got any money left? And we have. Or should we chuck in Kane versus Son versus Bruno? I don't think that Bruno would get it, but if we go for Kane versus Son, we're probably very unlikely to get Bruno, so at least it gives a choice. So Kane versus Son versus Bruno, please. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat, let us know who you want in now. Kane, Son, or Bruno. That would be wonderful. Thank you. And in the meantime, gents, have a think about your final option there. Well, obviously, actually, it depends on. We probably need to leave 7 odd million back, don't we, for a goalkeeper? We are having a sea of Harry Kane. Harry Kane smashing the vote here. Thank you so much, everyone. We've had a lot of Kanes and only a couple of Sons. Ayling lost the vote 8-7 to James, but I think, as Bear says, I think they're both probably really good picks. We could potentially have an Ayling versus Cons. I think we had a comment earlier potentially Konza in over a double Leeds defence. Depends, I suppose, if we end up with Martinez in goals, but we will touch on that now. So we will put Kane
We've got
into
Grealish
this.
anyway, haven't we?
Oh, and we got Grealish anyway, so yeah. Oh, yes.
Spread them out, these players.
That's a good shout, actually. Okay, so
we've got two players to pick then, Andrew, and 15.9 million left.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. And obviously one of them is a keeper. So if you put, say 7 million odd back for a keeper, so we could actually have Pulisic.
Going up to
just
about 9 million, aren't we?
Yeah, we could have Pulisic. We could have potentially Calvert-Lewin still, even though we've got James, so maybe not an option there, or an expensive defender. I would say. So, do we want to pick the keeper first and see what's left, or do we want to pick the outfield player first?
Well, why don't we give them a choice for, say, a 7, a 6.5, and the cheapest keeper, and see what we come up with, and then we can price the attacking player accordingly.
Good shout. So I think Meslier is probably the cheapest keeper in terms of playing keepers at 6.1.
You stick Patricio in at the top end.
Patricio at 6.9, and then Martin.
We need a Wolves, don't forget, for that Wolves Palace game.
That is a very good point.
Yeah, Patricio, Meslier, and someone like Guaita.
Yes.
Or Martinez. We don't want Martinez though, do we? Because we've got Grealish.
Do you know? I'd even say because Wolves play Palace. If you've got Guaita or Patricio, that's that covered, isn't it? So whether you want to do something like that,
but
we need a Wolves or Palace.
We do need other Wolves captaincy days as well, don't we? So it sounds like
so Guaita or Patricio for the vote, and then we know how much cash we've got to spend on the extra player.
Okay, Patricio or Guaita. Can everyone vote, please, on Patricio or Guaita? And obviously that will leave us a bit of cash left in the end for our final.
And we can go with any position then, can't we, for the others?
We can indeed. We'll either have 4-4-2, 3-5-2, or 3-4-3, and we'll have options. There's still Zaha. Someone's put kind of Zaha in there as well. Pulisic, maybe a couple of others as well. Chilwell, we haven't looked at Chilwell. He could be an option potentially as a 4-4-2. That would give us. He could be a good one.
Chilwell's 9.0 and Pulisic's 9.1. I think I'll be going for Pulisic of the pair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are a democracy, gentlemen. So we will put it to the vote. So in terms of
are we not like the Premier League vote, mate? Is it not like
we just do what we want anyway?
The three of us vote is more than the 100 people on the chat.
Okay, so everyone is going for Patricio. So let's put Patricio in. So this leaves us. Oh my goodness! Oh no! We have a dilemma. We've got 9 million left, and Pulisic is 9.1. So what we're going to have to do here, if we are so convinced of having Pulisic, we're going to have to potentially
adjust the keeper.
Well, but if we do, we haven't got Wolves. This is the problem. We haven't got Wolves for all those captaincies.
What about Aylan? Aylan down to Konza or something?
I probably think that
leaves us a bit over then, doesn't it?
Personally,
a bit of spare cash,
a little bit in the bank.
So should we do like an A or a B then? So A, we will say Konza and Pulisic. Yeah, that's A. Konza and Pulisic. B is Ayling and
Zaha, maybe.
Yeah. Should we go with that?
Oh yeah, Zaha. Yeah.
So
more pay,
or more pay, or
so many options.
Chilwell. Oh, there's loads. Baby says can't reverse votes, guys. We probably shouldn't actually, but I do think Pulisic is probably anyway. How much is Chilwell?
He's 9 million.
9 million, okay.
So if they want to go by a democratic vote, 9 million left. Chilwell, it is.
It is. We've had right. Should we go for Chilwell then? Oh well, it's Chilwell or Morpie, isn't it? Was our
Morpie is cheap.
Or Zaha. Okay. So we're going with the vote. We're sticking with the vote. We have buggered up on Pulisic. So we have now got then Morpie, Chilwell or Zaha is our final one. Morpie, Chilwell or Zaha is for our final position in our podcast team. Glenn Murray says, get Morpie in, keep Fergie happy. Thank you very much, Glenn, you swine. I'll never live that Samata down, will I? I will never live that down as long as I live.
But what about Calvert-Lewin? You called him at the start of the season, mate. You got a
well. This is the thing. There's
shout.
no point just choosing the obvious ones all the time. Right? We like to give options on this
The beauty
podcast.
And the beauty about this team is you might think someone's listening, think, "No, I wouldn't have had him." That's a good base you can then just work off and just make a few little changes.
Exactly that.
And it's a solid team. So even if you think, "No, I wouldn't have had him in, I'd have done this," there's a good base there.
If people put this team into the planner, they can work it backwards and forwards through November and December, can't they?
Okay, so one player, guys, is smashing the vote out of Chilwell, Mopai and Zaha. Who do you think it is?
Chilwell.
It's got to be Mopai. They'll listen to you, Andrew.
It is Mopai. Mopai has killed the vote. Killed the vote. So we've got 0.5 million in the bank there as well. So just to run through this for everyone, thank you so much, everyone, for all your patience with all our tomfoolery and messing around. But this is my second team I will be putting in, and we will manage this every week. So we have Patricio in goals. We've got Robertson, Ayling and Dallas, De Bruyne, Antonio, Grealish and James Rodriguez, and Kane, Salah and Mopai. I am very, very excited for that team going forward. So thank you so much, everyone, for that. Really, really a bit too excited for that, actually. But that will be our podcast team going into the overhaul. How we will manage this now moving forward. So any transfers, any captaincies, we will put them on the @FFH_Sky Twitter as a poll. So please make sure you follow our Twitter handle so you can vote on all these decisions moving forward. But thank you so much for that. Finally, I clean forgot Ian. Apologies. We'll touch on it now, but Ian is going to very briefly, Ian, if that's okay, touch on a bit of a masterclass on how to save us, how to avoid 0.1 million. So, Ian, I've got your first team on screen. Do you want to talk us through it briefly?
So, first team on screen, I'd picked Kane and Salah up front for the captaincies, KDB, Antonio, Barnes, Grealish and Pulisic as midfield, Van Dijk, Ayling and Dallas at the back. And then I needed a keeper for the Wolves v Palace game, and I wanted to get Patricio in. Unfortunately, 0.2 short. So back to the drawing board. So then moved Patricio out to put Goalkeeper in, and that came in at 0.1 to the good. So that was all okay. But then I looked to see, do I really want to captain Harvey Barnes away at Arsenal on the second weekend? And I thought, no, I can do a bit better than that. So who can we move in instead? So I thought, it's all right. I can move Pulisic out because he'll have played. I'll put Dominic Calvert-Lewin in. He's playing Southampton away. Could be an ideal captaincy option. Unlucky, 0.1 short. So back to the drawing board again. So I then thought, well, I'll move back Patricio because I fancied him instead of Guaita in goal. I did like the look of Calvert-Lewin, even though he's playing Liverpool on the first day back. He's been in terrific form and good value. So I moved out Van Dijk and put Robertson in, and then found that I've got 0.3 left in the bank and a good captaincy for every day for the first 3 weeks. So the moral of the story is to look further ahead, pick your team with the most expensive in each position, and then that will leave you the opportunity, if you need to move one down for a different player, because you need somebody else in 2 different positions for 2 different captaincies, then there's your answer. And pick your keeper last, because he's the one that will be fitting your budget, not the other way around.
Fantastic, Ian. And obviously all this was used by filling in your planner as well, because it just makes it so transparent and easy. So just touching on it again, if any of you are not Fantasy Football Hub members, you need to sign up, right? This is serious stuff here. We've got, the best Sky managers around, working on the tools and the articles. People like Dan, Paul, Ian, and others, constantly all the time on this stuff. And look, that extra 2 or 3% in terms of planning and insight could very well be the difference between you coming, second or third in your mini league or top. And 3 of the last 4 Sky winners, so Dan himself, Jason Barlow and Liam Dorrian last year, all used the planner to help them to their success. We cannot understate how important this is. And thank you, Mark. Daniel says the planner is excellent. So finally, we move on to Dan's rant. Dan, apart from having the flu and looking white as a sheet and your hairline receding week on week, what else has upset you this week?
That's got nothing to do with the flu. Just annoyed me this week. I was going to do like a numpty of the week thing, right? Okay, if you want to go to bed, people can switch off now, right? So like numpty of the week, right? Pogba, yeah. Do you see Pogba saying he wants, he'd love to join Real Madrid? They just got pumped 6-1 by your lot, whatever. Why is he then saying I'd love to join Real Madrid? Like I could then go and tell my wife, like, I'd love to get with Michelle Keegan, but ain't gonna happen. Like, so that he's an umpty. Ozil paying Gunnosaurus, he's on the wind up, isn't he? I just can't take that. And Abraham, Chilwell, Sancho, all at that party, numpties, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So they're numpties. And Paul McNulty's a numpty for being on holiday when we're doing this special. That unacceptable, isn't it? Yep. And he did text to say that you told everyone he's out of the country, but he's got someone staying at his house, so don't try to break in. There's someone there. And then what else annoyed me, right, is this PPV, paper game or whatever, pay-per-view. That's like 15 quid. Like, I ain't got a season ticket, so I don't know how it's all working, whether people are getting their money back from the season tickets or whatever, but why 15 quid? Like, who's getting that money? Is it all going to the club, or I don't know all this stuff, right? Sure, I haven't but 15 quid a game is just ridiculous, because my Sky, Disney Plus, I got for the kid, Netflix, I pay a good 90 quid a month anyway in subscriptions. I don't then pay another 15 quid for the games. And because the better games, I know it's harsh if you support Fulham or West Brom, but the better games are on Sky anyway. I ain't got BT Sport because I can't justify paying out another 20 or 30 quid a month. But 15 quid a game, if it was a fiver, I'd probably pick a few of them up. Like, they're not the best, are they? Like, so what have you got? Chelsea, Southampton, that's all right. Newcastle, Man U, not too bad. Sheffield United, Fulham, not many.
You give that a miss, what you done?
West Brom, Burnley, come on. Do you know what I mean? Palace, Fulham again, like West Brom, Brighton. And I feel sorry because Fulham and West Brom play 3 times then in the first 3 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So that's 45 quid.
It's like really hard on the teams who are not picked for the main kind of Super Sunday games and the 5:30 games on the Sunday. It's really hard because the teams are talking about their Palace, West Brom, Fulham, and not picked. It's so harsh on their fans. And I pay full price subs for Sky Sports, BT Sports. If I wanted to watch a reasonable of other games, maybe 1 or 2. There's no way in the world I am paying an extra 30 quid to watch a couple of games every weekend.
I won't do one of them. If there was a fiver,
I'm not, mate.
Absolutely. I probably would pick up 4 games. I'd probably spend never 20 quid and do 4 games. But I'm not paying 15 quid for it. It's just,
and they're putting them all on at individual times, aren't they?
They are.
So you can go from one to the next all the way through.
That's just gonna annoy your missus, isn't it? 4 games. Can you imagine saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch 4 games on Sunday back to back"? She's thinking, "Oh, you're taking this," and then you say, "Oh, by the way, I spent 30 quid on 2 of them." You're like, what? Like that, going to cause big problems. So that whole thing's a joke. And even we'll get to that next week. This new Premier League, what was it? The big plan or whatever they come up with.
The big picture, yeah.
The big picture, that just sounds a joke as well. And I'll give you another one. Right, my kids have annoyed me this week.
Swines.
So my oldest one, we're in a car park today, right? And the car next to us then come and pulled in tight. So I said, be careful when you get out. That was a new car. It was a 20 plate, right? He got out the car. No, he came to get back in. When I said, be careful. I got out of the car so I could see him coming. I said, be careful. And there was someone sitting in the car. He only fucking banged the door straight on their motor, didn't he? I couldn't believe it. As a 20 plate, I didn't see what make it was. Well, you just drive off, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? I just had to plead ignorance, so I didn't see it. Probably got my number plate or something. So that annoyed me. And the youngest one annoyed me. He's really good at football, right? He's 5. He has his place for his little team. I told him I'd pay him £1 a goal. He's played 3 games. Guess how many goals he scored?
Go on.
17.
20 goals in 3 games. It's going to cost me a fortune. I'm just not going to take him next week. I'm going to tell him it's off or something. But kids are one nearly cost me probably £100 in a fixing someone's door or something. The other one's just costing me 8-9 quid a week. It's just ridiculous. So that is this week's moan. And having the flu has annoyed me as well. Oh man, flu, cold.
The grumpiest man in fantasy football. Thank you very much, Dan. Brilliant rant. Thank you very much. So thank you so much, everyone, as usual, for supporting, interacting with us on this live stream. I think it's the longest one we've actually ever done. I think we're on an hour and 35 at the moment. But, hopefully it's been really useful. All Ian's insight alone, that was a good 30, 35 minutes of brilliant information. Picking the podcast 11 should help, everyone, but definitely lesser experienced players look at the kind of team you should be looking for when building up a team in terms of structure, captaincy, core players, etc. So hopefully that has helped. One favour now, guys, or a couple actually. Could everyone now, so there's 122 people watching the stream as we speak. We've only got 37 likes. Can everyone please just press like? It really does help us moving forward, helps us get it out to more people. Helps it rank higher and things. So could everyone just please press like now if you don't mind. And tomorrow morning when we tweet out the Sky podcast on the @FFH_Sky Twitter handle, because everyone please like and retweet that out as well. Dan, where can people find you?
Twitter, Dan Cox 82, and article on the Hub every Friday.
Your article last week, by the way, as it is every week, but if you haven't read Dan's article on the Hub from last week, it is absolutely superb, absolutely well worth a
top
read.
Draw.
Really, really good stuff. And very well edited, I reckon, as well, but, we won't say much about that.
Took out my spelling mistakes and then
exactly.
Put some full stops in it.
Exactly. Ian, thank you so much for joining us. You've made an incredible debut, really brilliant insight. We will definitely have you on again. Where can people find you, Ian?
You find me on Twitter @PlanItSky, and you'll also see me on the Hub. I've got the 2 planners on there, one for Sky, one for Telegraph. If you leave a comment on there, I'll get back to you and let you know.
I need to have a chat with you after, actually, about another planner for something else, but we'll chat about that after.
Okay, bring it on.
And my Twitter handle is @Fergie222. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub, Sky and TFF YouTube channel, and also available on all major podcast platforms. If you liked what you watch, again, please click like. Remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast version and leave some comments. Our handles on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok are @FFH_HQ. Our podcast Twitter handle is @FFH_Sky. So please follow and feel free to ask us any questions. Dan heads up the Twitter. He's really good at answering everyone's questions and stuff. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you'll find everything you need for fantasy football, all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top player team reveals, and much, much more. Join the tens of thousands now subscribers who subscribe for Fantasy Football Hub. And all of this is also available on our new free app, which you can find wherever you get your apps, searching for Fantasy Football Hub. We will be back next week with Paul returning to the fold with us, no doubt, cursing our overhaul picks. We will see you then. Good night all.